this documentary that claimed, which we know wasn't true.
Yeah. So we don't talk about things that are nonsense. So we're not even going to go there, with all due respect. But I appreciate you as a journalist asking. Thank you.
No, you hire somebody to kill about, but no, you do it like a journalist.
Yeah. No, I mean, we wouldn't even get into nonsense like that. You know what I'm saying?
No. Probably not a great husband, but
right now everything's going on. Nobody wants to talk about him. I don't want to be.
Why does nobody want to talk about it?
I don't know.
Are people afraid of Diddy's influence? Is that what this is?
I think I'm watching, bro. It is something like Charlamagne. Tell the truth, bro. Go ahead. Oh hell nah. Like I'm on my own.
You think Charlamagne won't talk about Diddy?
Nobody will talk about it. Listen, I called Joe. Joe said, "Ack, you ain't on with this one, man. I'll catch you on the next scandal." I'm like, what?
Really?
What the fuck? He's
really?
Yeah.
So, and explain the influence of Diddy, because I'm seeing people dropping him left and right.
Glennis, I don't know what they might be.
Did Aaliyah?
I don't know. Why you put Aaliyah on?
Why is she involved?
I thought it was like a faulty claim, but you never know. You blew up a car, you never know. I don't know. Why Aaliyah?
You tell me, Al.
Charlamagne Tha God just went off on Diddy after some explosive audio leaked of a conversation between Jay Z and Diddy, and he did not hold back. Known for keeping it real and calling out the drama in the industry, Charlamagne used his platform on The Breakfast Club to expose Diddy's shady ways. He made it clear that he's not afraid to shine a light on the darker side of the music business.
I want to end, Charlamagne, it's a couple of pretty different stories. One is what's happening with P. Diddy. His former security guard, Roger Bonds, came on my show last week, said he'd seen Diddy violent with multiple women. A lot more allegations coming out all the time about it. What do you make of what is happening with Diddy?
The same thing I make of, what's happening with anybody. If you got to deal with the consequences of your actions. Period. You can't run from yourself. I tell people that all the time, man. I'm a big proponent of mental health, and the reason I'm a big proponent of mental health and people doing the work on themselves is because a lot of people are dealing with a lot of unhealed trauma. They're dealing with a lot of pain and a lot of hurt, and they end up projecting that pain and that hurt onto other people. And that's what I think has been happening with him over the years. I don't know him personally. I know him from interviewing him. Of course, I've had conversations with him, but I've never hung out with hhim. I've never been to a Diddy party, catch up with you. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. I think we're seeing a lot of his BS catching up with him. You can't even hide. You just the same way, Trump was trying to hide things. P. Diddy was trying to hide things too by suppressing that tape. So you can't run from yourself, Piz. You got to deal with the consequences of your actions. So, whatever happens to him, as far as, legal ramifications are concerned, or, jail time, he has to deal with that. But what I would tell people is don't forget what the issue is, because a lot of times we do that here in America. We get so caught up in the celebrity that we forget what the actual issue is. And the issue in this situation is domestic violence. The issue in this situation is the patriarchy, because as long as you have, men, especially powerful men, thinking that women are their property, and they can do whatever to them. You're going to see situations like, the Diddy Cassie tape. And like I said, men not dealing with their unhealed trauma, men not dealing with their pain, men not dealing with their hurt and projecting it onto, people around them. Those are the three issues that I think we really should be focused on, because long after we not talking about this P. Diddy and Cassie situation anymore, there's still going to be women all around the world, dealing with men like that. So how do we get to the root of the issue? I think we only get to the root of the issue by talking about the actual issue and not the individual.
Charlamagne didn't just discuss the leaked audio. He went further, exposing patterns in Diddy's behavior that many have been too afraid to address. From questionable business practices to the alleged mistreatment of his artists and associates, Charlamagne didn't hold back. He connected the dots, revealing how Diddy's strategic moves may make him appear powerful, but have also left behind a trail of burned bridges and exploited relationships.
Look, Tony Yayo, someone who we brought on Vlad TV for the first time in like a decade. You've seen him really get out there and tell his personality and everything else like that. You had him on The Breakfast Club, which I'm sure was, somewhat of a result of his Vlad TV interviews.
Absolutely.
And now Tony Yayo is doing his first ever solo show in New York at Sony Hall for the first time in his life because of, the push that we gave him and that you followed up on, and suddenly he's doing his own tours and so forth. I love to see it. I love to see it.
Absolutely. I mean, think about that's like even something like Versus. Versus, even though it's not considered hip hop media, that's powerful because these people get on Versus and then their streams go up, and then they get booked for tours because all you're showing is that that person still has an audience, And we live in a industry where people, man, they really not even gonna check for you unless they see that you still got some heat. Unless you still got some steam behind you. And I think that's what a lot of these, platforms end up showing folks like, oh no, that person, there's definitely still an audience for said individual. So, that's literally my only thoughts on that list. Like, what is power? Because power just can't be noise, man. I've made a lot of noise, but there's a difference between noise and having actual influence and power. There's people that'll they'll bring people on Breakfast Club because Breakfast Club helps to sell books. Breakfast Club can help your podcast numbers jump. Breakfast Club can, have people tune into your TV show. Breakfast Club can have people go out and vote for you. Breakfast Club can have people pull up to your, movie, that first weekend when those box office numbers really count. I'll never forget, Diddy yelling and screaming at me. This is before I even recognized truly, the power, that the platform was commanding. This is when he dropped the Last Train to Paris album. And I gave him Donkey of the Day for that album, right? I'm like, yo, this shit is shake weight music. You know what I mean? Once again, being an asshole. Because people love that album, right? But I'm just fucking with him. And he came to the station hot, like go out the back door, Charlamagne type shit. And I remember when I finally had a conversation with Diddy about it, asked Sean Prez about it. Sean Prez put us on the phone. And Diddy was like, bro, you can't do that on my first week. He said, I'm a big boy. I can take criticism of the music, but not on my first week when I'm trying to get these first week numbers up. You come out and you shit on my project like this, people might not even go check for the project. And that was one of the first times I was...
Diddy's old school tactics of controlling narratives and manipulating situations behind the scenes are beginning to backfire. With this leaked audio, Charlamagne is ensuring that the world sees Diddy for who he really is, a man whose empire might be built on shaky foundations. Interview Charlamagne's words carry weight because he's witnessed it all in the industry, and when he speaks, people pay attention. By exposing Diddy's moves, he's putting pressure on the industry to scrutinize the power dynamics that have allowed figures like Diddy to operate unchecked for so long.
They don't really be caring about the issues like they care. They care about the individual. Yeah. Like people got mad at me last week. I didn't realize they got mad at me for some brilliant idiot shit I said months ago when we were talking about Diddy. Wow. And I was just saying how when I see situations like this, it's sad, right? Like I did Dan Abrams' show. And he played the clip from Idiots, right? But he played it without the context. So the context was, it's sad to see another person, ruin their life based off poor choices. Yeah. Right? It's sad to see when these people crash and burn just because they've made alleged poor choices. At the time I said alleged poor choices. Yeah. Right? So when somebody asked me about Diddy, it was on The View. They asked me about Diddy and I go, I think we need to focus on the issue, not the individual. Because what happens a lot of times in these situations, we get so caught up in the celebrity of it all that we don't ever take the time to talk about what's the real core issue here. To me, it's domestic violence. It's these men that need to go through the work on themselves because they're dealing with all this hurt and this pain and this unhealed trauma, and they're projecting that on the other women. And it's the patriarchy. Because you got a guy like a Diddy who's in a position of power who probably don't look at any woman as an equal
it's a sociopathic, power-hungry narcissist.
But that's still all mental health related. That's still all something that you need to go
be
get
crazy
checked.
People. Yes.
So my point is, we don't ever talk about the issue. Now it's Diddy's music is banned from Peloton, and the Diddy's eyeglasses are taken out. Who gives a fuck? Whatever happens to him as an individual, he's got to deal with the consequences of his actions. But the issue is still going to be going on.
That's interesting.
As I'm talking right now, somebody's getting their ass kicked. Some woman's getting their ass kicked right now. Nobody's even paying her no attention.
And then we move on once we see justice is served for the individual.
That's right.
We act as if the issue is taken care of.
That's
when in reality, it's not taken care of at all.
At all.
But our our passivity comes in because we feel satisfied because we never cared about the issue. I've never cared a strong, but like we cared more about the fact that this famous person we saw our whole lives is involved in this fucking thing.
A pound of flesh. Now, I largely agree with you. Could you make the argument that there is still some benefit in seeing, we're going to make an example out of this guy. You're going to take this guy who was a demigod of sorts, like so powerful, and he's going to be stripped to nothing, and these are the consequences of those actions.
Yes, but you have to put the lesson in it, right? Like, we can't have these small conversations about Diddy and what it means to his legacy, whatever. We have to say, this is what happens to your legacy when you do bullshit behavior like this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we ever have those discussions when it comes to celebrity.
Yeah.
Like, all we see is all of these guys get canceled, all of these guys
100%
go to prison, as they should. But then what?
R. Kelly, same exact thing.
The behavior
Nobody's
keeps
talking
going.
about human trafficking. Nobody's talking about what's happening to these.
Nothing.
He pees on people.
That's it.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah. What's the lesson with Diddy? It's like, oh, he's gay.
He's gay, but it's not.
We don't know that yet.
Fair.
That is the
Allegedly.
other. What we know about Diddy is he absolutely puts his hands on women. We've seen that.
I think that part's worse
Than him being gay? I don't know, dude.
No, you're right. That's wild, dog. It depends how he's getting his butt. No, because he could be
non-consensual.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
He could be non-consensual.
Exactly.
I think we do know he's gay though from that video.
Bro, there's one story that came out of all this.
Don't jump away.
He did fight with flowers.
We do know that he's gay from that video.
Why? Because when he was holding his towel?
No.
What?
Was it tied
The
on?
socks.
I didn't notice the socks.
You didn't see the socks in the video?
No. I really couldn't. I didn't watch it.
The things y'all pay attention to in a goddamn video.
Once I saw him pull her down and kick, I'm like, that's enough.
I didn't watch that part. I just watched the socks. I watched him like Joker walking through the hallway and these pink fuchsia socks.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this guy's definitely gay. That was what I thought. That was the first thing I thought.
I didn't know they were pink.
Do you want to let him get back to his story? That's probably a little more entertaining than...
No, there was this one story. It was this guy on this podcast, man, and I probably should. Oh wow!
See what I'm saying? He put on her socks.
Why would he do that?
Because it's a power thing.
It's grippy.
By the way,
it's grippy, bro.
drugs like a motherfucker.
Yes.
Gotta be.
That's clear.
And she said he was intoxicated and shit, but you are Sean P. Diddy Combs.
Yeah.
And you're in the Intercontinental Hotel and you run out in a towel. This was 2016 or 18?
Yeah.
This guy was 46 years old. You're a multi, you might have been a billionaire by
I don't chalk it up to, like, no drug makes you beat a woman.
No.
You beat women and then you're on drugs.
I agree with you.
And then you do it. Like,
it's not only drugs.
Yeah, it's not only, I'm not saying it's not only drugs, but this isn't regular behavior, bro. Like I
think it's regular.
You're running in a hotel with a towel on.
I agree with him. I think it's regular for him. I think he's such a fucking monster. The amount of times you got to hit your girl to not give a fuck that you're in public.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
But I think that he's just such a power-hungry person that I think he feels invincible when he has the power, and these types of things, unfortunately, make him feel invincible.
Yeah.
Top or bottom?
What?
Top or bottom?
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Power bottom.
I think, honestly, I think it's top, and I don't even think it's a gay thing. I think everything about his life is power and how he can exert power on people. I think that's why watching people fuck someone is power. It's like, I'm gonna make you do this thing you don't even want to do, and I'm gonna watch and enjoy it.
That's why he loves the Joker.
He wants to be the fucking Joker, this agent of chaos.
I think it's both, bro.
You think he's a power bottom?
Centipede.
So it's like Dick, then
he's in somebody in him is fucking Sam.
Eiffel Tower.
Can I ask you a related question? Jay Z.
Oh, stop it.
If I'm hearing smoke, I've been hearing smoke about Diddy. That's why I believe the Cassie shit right away, because we've all heard things about Diddy for a long time.
We never heard this shit.
I heard. We used to always make a joke. I've heard the joke. Cassie's a hostage. You hear little whispers.
Yeah, but we heard that. We said that about Tom Cruise too with Katie Holmes. Yeah. I didn't think that. I didn't think I was going to ever see a video like this.
I heard abuse whispers. So
Really?
I was thinking,
I heard gay. I'd never heard porn.
I always heard gay.
Gay nonstop, and that was enough. People were like,
"That's because of Wendy Williams."
What'd you say?
Oh,
that was Wendy. Wendy's whole thing was Diddy was gay since the 90s.
She knew, dog.
No, Wendy was
We owe
throwing that
Wendy
out
an apology.
there. That's why Wendy got fired from Hot 97. Wendy got fired from Hot 97 by Diddy because that's when Bad
Bad Boy was smoking hot.
Wow.
And yeah, she got fired for putting that out there. Like,
do you think that Diddy held on to the gay rumors so that people didn't know what he really was?
Yeah.
Ooh. Because that's the perfect smokescreen. You'd rather people think you're gay than beat women.
And by the way, here's the wild thing: we still don't know what Diddy is.
I mean, we know
That's the thing.
little.
We know little. We know bits and pieces.
Yeah.
This shit might be deeper than rap. We don't know. Like, this
The
might be a
rabbit hole's
whole
gonna
rabbit
get
hole. You might be like, oh shit.
But seeing this video.
That's what I was trying to get at this whole time.
Okay.
That is the wildest story
Yeah.
that came out of a lot of this shit, and nobody gives a
Yeah,
fuck.
let's talk about it.
What story?
Pull it up, Mark. I don't even want to repeat it.
Oh.
Pull it up. This shit sounds so crazy.
Nah, this shit wild.
Type in his name and Diddy.
But this is why I believe all the
Van
Cassie
Johnson.
allegations because of this video. Because
What video?
she describes this,
Yeah,
what happened
word
to
for
the
word.
T.
Oh,
So
yeah,
now
yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
I believe everything she said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
1000%.
I'm not. Yeah.
This is horrifying.
Also, Diddy's bullshit. While you're getting that, Diddy's bullshit ass excuse, like how he couldn't mention Cassie's name in the apology. There's no rule you can't apologize.
What happened? Oh, I'm not laughing at that.
No, I
I'm
know
laughing
you're
at this
not.
shit here. I'm laughing
Yeah.
at this shit. That Marcus.
Yeah. Also, you called her a liar like 3 days ago.
Yeah,
Like,
get the fuck out.
Said she was looking after for a quick buck. You're a fucking scumbag.
And
Maybe
yeah.
this is more triggering for me because whatever. But like that shit, I was
Why
like,
is it more
kill this
triggering
guy.
for you? What
I grew up in a house. I didn't see that ever, but I grew up in a house where there was abuse. So it was like you watch that, and this is way more extreme than anything I saw. Like she's trying to sneak out of the fucking room. He's dragging her by the hair.
Yeah.
Not gonna pimp my struggle. I didn't see anything like that. But watching that is like, yo, fuck this guy forever.
Did you ever try to intervene?
Yeah, I did one time.
You got your ass kicked?
No, we didn't do anything. I just stood in his way and I didn't say a word. I didn't even look at him, which I'm kind of like, I just got in his way and I remember thinking, if this goes down, this goes down.
Yeah.
That's all I remember.
I remember I was reading Will Smith's book, and he always said he felt bad because he never intervened. So that was like he said he felt like a coward.
Yeah.
You know, he never intervened. Watching his mother go through the abuse from his father, but I think he said his brother did. So a lot of that just makes you kind of think about everything that happened, everything that transpired with the slap and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like after the
Like I'm gonna stand up for myself finally.
you didn't play the clip.
I'm trying to find
It was right there. I saw it. Go back to the hip hop DX one. This is wild, bro.
I didn't see this.
Yeah, this is crazy.
This was wild. Like I'm like, this is how you know too much is going on. First, this shit is it's wild but hilarious.
Keep it a buck. No, that's not quiet.
And I was those 5 or 6. How many? The first one was the worst one, and then the other ones I left early. Okay, so the worst one was Carl Winslow, I'm guessing? Yeah.
So you busting the door, you didn't hear?
No, because you know how I like to joke and play and stuff. So a nigga don't give a fuck. So I'm just hearing like, like all this shit. I'm like, oh, somebody wearing this bitch out on the crib. So I go busting the door. I look up, I see Carl Winslow. I'm like, so like, this is crazy. Wow. That's
On crib.
I think of Carl Winslow. I think of the cop on the but you have to take picture that big ass nigga bent over.
Why is that not being talked about more?
Son.
Like, yo,
I used to hear Carl Winslow's gay rumors too, and then when you rewatch, he's a little risky with the acting.
But watching, yo, what type of madman are you? You're watching Family Matters, and you like, yo,
I need that.
I gotta get that. I gotta fuck Carl Winslow.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? You're Diddy. You got access to so many people.
But that's your favorite
You
show.
got to get
He likes
Carl
TV Dad.
Winslow,
show.
bro.
TV Dad.
Bring up Carl Winslow so everybody knows what.
Watching him in that uniform got you bricked
Are
up.
you, can I ask you, are you a little proud that it was still a black man who's attracted to? Black and black. That's black love.
No.
What would Dr. Umar say?
And then the wild part about the video, the homie said he was wearing them out.
Wearing them out. Crib. On crib.
Wearing them out on crib. On crib. Yo, I had to kick in the door to see what the fuck was going on. Who in here wearing this girl out like that?
Yeah.
God damn, man.
And
There was some beautiful women on Family Matters, bro.
And he does the voice for the
Maya,
dad in
what was her name?
Invincible.
Maya?
Now I'm gonna watch that show a little different.
Oh,
now.
he's still alive?
Yeah.
Oh, God bless the
Yeah.
dead. I mean, God bless the living. Oh, I'm thinking about that. I know who I'm thinking about.
Who are you thinking about?
I'm thinking about Phil. Yeah.
No.
But same different. Yo, this is wild.
Oh, James Avery. You thought it was James Avery?
James Avery. No, I knew it was him, but I just was getting confused for a second. My whole point with this is a wild story, yo. So you know how wild your story's got to be throughout this whole shit, where this one just gets swept under the rug?
Yeah.
Only person I saw repost this was, of course, 50. 50 didn't miss shit. 50 didn't miss this. Shout out to 52, man.
Shout out Phil.
For the inspiration for this book.
What did he say? What did he say?
He said, what he said, your idea to use my idea was a good idea.
What was it? Yeah. What was that referencing?
The book, Get Honest or Die Lying. Get Rich or Die Trying.
No, I know it's a playoff of that, but that's what it was. Or did he say something on Breakfast Club and then...
No. He was talking about this. Yeah.
It's the title.
Yeah, he posted the book. 50 always reposts my books, though, so I salute to 50.
Shout out to 50.
But then you commented back, I'm
don't have your money by Monday.
And? Which Monday?
Listen, man, if Fifth need me for something, I'm here. You know what I mean? That's all. Like, you might need me to voice some commercials for something. Like, he got a bunch of TV shows. He got the studio in Louisiana. It'll be fine. You know what I mean?
I do love that he puts on Shreveport. That's why I basically grew up there.
You did?
I spent like half my year that my uncle and I lived out there. I spent so many months in Shreveport.
Yo, why do Indians like move to like the most rural places in the South?
In that case, there's a need for doctors, and you can make a lot of money as a doctor. Most of the Indians out there are really successful, because if you went to Shreveport, Louisiana, you had a fucking reason.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So I think a lot of times if you see Indians in kind of like small, this is just theory, these small kind of rural, not many minority places, there's money that they're making. They're not doing poorly.
People in Shreveport made some money from natural gas, living on that shale.
Oh,
there's the city split. There's like a
Shreveport,
Bossier City.
Bossier City.
Yeah.
Shreveport's not that nice, to be honest with you. Maybe it got nice, but I think it was called Ratchet City. What's his name? Hurricane Chris is from there? INDE.
No, man, that's fucking Webby.
Who's Hurricane Chris is from?
Hurricane Chris sings Halle Berry.
There you go. I'm pretty sure he's Berry.
It was like that in Columbus. Columbus, South Carolina had like a real heavy pocket of Indians. That's where Aziz grew up.
Yeah.
Like me and my boy DJ
His dad's
Frosty.
a doctor, right?
The university.
Yeah,
I would imagine.
Yep, and me and my boy Frosty used to always get paid to do the Indian part.
Huntsville, Alabama got a lot of Indians because there's like a space center there or something like that.
Easiest crowd to DJ.
Hey,
who the fuck sang Halle Berry? I don't remember. Easiest parties to DJ. You know why?
Yeah, I know why.
Why?
The Jay Z song.
That's all they want. That's all they want. It don't matter. Frosty was getting there trying to play some other shit. I'll be talking like, hey man, let's get to it. Fuck this small talk. Let's get the Punjabi MC. And hours.
Focusing solely on Diddy, Charlamagne seized the moment to address a broader array of Hollywood elites. He suggested that no one is immune from scrutiny, signaling that his critique extends beyond just one figure.
Victoria, and I mean, a bunch of women that work at Breakfast Club.
Okay, well, this is something that actually hits close to home for both of us. And I didn't realize it until I was going through my notes this morning, was that you actually introduced me to Taxstone. I saw Taxstone, I think, on the Breakfast Club or the MTV show you were doing. I forgot which one it was. But I saw him on there, and I'm like, yo, this dude is dope. And I think I'd reached out to you, and you connected us, and Tax became a regular guest on Vlad TV. In fact, he did his last interview before he got locked up on Vlad TV, which was an interview I never put out, because I was worried that something that he may have said could somehow influence his case. And, you know, after 6 years of sitting in jail, he went to trial and he blew trial. He was found guilty on a bunch of charges. Luckily, not the murder charge, but there was a bunch of manslaughter and so forth, gun charges, and now he's facing 25 years. When you heard the news, what did you think?
Same thing I thought from the day I heard about this, 6 years ago. It's just tragic. You got a life loss. Rest in peace to the brother Banger. You got, Taxstone in jail. Now it's not just Taxstone in jail. Taxstone, was found guilty on a bunch of charges. Troy Ave. I'm sure he's gone through trauma that none of us can even speak to. Because I think a lot of people even forget. It wasn't that situation. Troy got shot again, during this whole process. So I can just imagine, the trauma that he's dealing with too. So man, it's just like a terrible, tragic situation all the way around. And I mean, everybody in hindsight can say, oh man, I wish this would have happened and I wish that would have happened. But what happened. And there's no changing the situation. And that's tragic. Because all you think to yourself is, why did all of this happen? Like, I feel like this was one of those situations that was totally preventable. And I wish in hip hop that we took things a lot more serious, because there is a lot of conversations that happen, right? Every day you can go online and see some new social media beef happening. This person said this about that person, or that person said this, and nobody ever takes any of these situations serious until serious shit happens. And this was a beyond serious situation, because somebody, literally lost their life. And then I still don't know, what happened. I don't want to know. I know everything that everybody else knows. The things that I know are the things that, people saw play out in the courtroom, or the same things y'all have heard are the same things that I've heard. I don't have any inside information on the situation. I just know that from the outside looking in, it's just tragic.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, it hit close to home because me and Tax became close. And like that whole year between the shooting and his arrest, we were hanging out. I saw him in Cali. We rolled around. We did multiple interviews. It's a horrible situation. And I remember right when the trial was about to start, Taxstone wanted to do an interview with me. And I just, I spoke to his lawyer, and we both agreed that it was just a bad idea. And I didn't tell him no. And he was kind of mad at me at the time, but I'm like, listen, I don't want to be the person that ultimately affects your trial in terms of you speaking about it as it's happening. If you want to go with someone else, I can't stop you. But me personally, I don't want to do it. And, we haven't really spoken since. I don't know if he's still upset at me. And, it's an ugly situation. I think I remember right around that, in between the shooting and the trial, I think Troy Ave was on the Breakfast Club, but you weren't actually there. And was that a situation because of your relationship with Tax that you didn't want to put yourself in the middle of that?
Well, I interviewed Troy once after that situation happened. But yeah. I think people forget, the first time he came to Breakfast Club, the Brother Banger's family was upset. I don't think people remember that, like I do, because we were getting those calls, and they were directing that energy towards us, the Breakfast Club, and they were just upset that he was on the show, and I guess the things he was saying about Banger, which I mean, by the way, which we can understand, right? You can understand the trauma that family was dealing with, right? So I don't know what the situation is between the family and Troy. I just know that when I saw that the family was upset, it made me take a step back. It made me take a step back, and I did feel like I might have been a little too close to the situation because of the relationship I have with Taxstone, right? So it's just like, I think for me as a journalist, and I know people they don't look at all of us as journalists, but if you're gonna have some type of journalistic integrity, yeah, you should take a step back from situations where you might have, an obvious bias maybe or something. You know what I mean? I think that's the fair thing to do. And once again, I think that's very fair to Troy, I think. And I think that's, at least just for me, morally, when I saw that the family was upset, I'm like, look, man, I can't tell y'all who to interview, right? I can't tell Envy and Angela who to interview. I just know that, I think I should remove myself from the situation. And it wasn't like every time he came to Breakfast Club, I was purposely not there. Like I think it was like twice I really had something to do. Like if you go look at that week, I might have missed like 3 or 4 interviews, from that week. But, now that everything's I guess cleared up, smoothed over. You might see that conversation happen.
Yeah, I think people don't realize that people in our position get put in weird situations, because if you interview one side, then people feel like you're choosing sides by not interviewing the other side. And if you interview both sides...
Interviewed Charlamagne harshly criticized Diddy, labeling him as insincere and opportunistic, particularly in light of recent controversies surrounding Diddy's public apology for past actions.
Two people who are extremely talented. Y'all, you can say what you want about Troy Ave. Troy Ave make good music. You know what I'm saying? And we don't know what the last 6 years of his career looks like if that situation doesn't happen, in Irving Plaza. So, it just feels like so much was lost because of that situation, man.
Well, you had Young Thug on The Breakfast Club, and you said something interesting. When you spoke to him, you said, I will say I made one of the worst predictions about 10 years ago when I did Vlad TV. They asked me who will be around longer, Rich Homie Quan or Young Thug. I said probably Rich Homie Quan. Clearly I was wrong. The Young Thug said, how do you feel about that, Charlotte? And then you said, you don't always get them right. And then, Young Thug was like, yeah, you were wrong. Fast forward a couple of years, and this whole YSL train wreck that's happening right now in Georgia. I just had an interview with the lead attorney, this Georgia lawyer, who, we talked about how this is the biggest train wreck in the legal system that Georgia has ever seen. They are still not even past jury selection. And Young Thug is in a world of trouble and everything else like that. When you look at that interview and you look at what's happening now, what do you think?
Same thing. It's just tragic. Like I don't know too much about, the YSL situation. I mean, I know that it's a RICO, which I didn't even know that they could do state RICOs. That was a new one to me. I never even heard of a state RICO until, this situation. But, those RICOs are tricky, man. Because when you are somebody who's from a certain environment, like how far away do they think that you're going to get from your environment? Like, especially if you're somebody who's still trying to, uplift said environment, who's trying to empower said environment. Like, we saw what Young Thug was doing in the community. I don't know anything about what he's being accused of. I just know what I saw forward facing as a radio personality, media personality. I saw him, constantly giving back to Atlanta, right? And constantly trying to empower people in Atlanta. Like, think about how many jobs somebody like Young Thug provided. Think about how many jobs somebody like YSL provided. Because it's not just Thug. When Thug goes and he gets a gunner, then a gunner blows up, right? And now you've created this label, YSL. You're probably going to go get people, from your community to work at this label. So how do we know that he's just not a victim of, just being close to an environment, that he might have probably should have got away from? But how far can you actually go? If your people are still there and you're trying to help your people and empower your people, what are you supposed to do in that situation? You're supposed to turn your back on your folks and say, yo, man, middle finger to all of y'all. I think you should do that if they're not willing to change. If they're not willing to change and they still doing the same old bullshit, and that bullshit is going to, hinder your business, yeah, you should absolutely walk away. You should absolutely fall back from them. But, how do we know that he wasn't just trying to help some people and empower some folks, and, those same folks were still doing dirt?
I think once you reach a certain financial level, certain people could come with you, but the majority of people are going to be left behind. Like, look at your life. Look at all the people you grew up with. All the people you've been around during your elevation. How many of those people have come along on the ride? Seriously. How many people? I mean, when I look at
my circle's so small right now, Vlad, it's a dot.
Okay, but I'm saying all the people you've been around over the years, how many of those people are part of Charlamagne's entourage right now?
None. Entourages don't do nothing but get you in trouble.
Entourage, your business, your personal, your finances, your day-to-day, none of these people are around, because ultimately, when you get to a certain level, you have to find the best people at the level that you're at. Like, trying to bring everyone around who you know are still fucked up in certain ways. Like, I have a lot of friends who are fucked up, and I talk to them every so often, and we might have lunch, or I might invite them to my house, hang out by the pool, but they're not part of my business. They're not my affiliates. I'm not going around with them. And I feel like Young Thug wanted to still have that whole kind of aura and energy around him, which ultimately got him.
Charlamagne also acknowledged he was wrong about Young Thug's career longevity. Reflecting on a prediction he made years ago, where he claimed Rich Homie Quan would outlast Thug in the industry, Charlamagne conceded that Thug has proven him wrong. Despite current legal challenges, Thug's career continues to thrive.
Same thing with the whole YFN Lucci situation. Like, to have both of these guys, as talented as they are, as big as they are, as rich as they are, with as many fans as they are, with as much money as they make legally, to both be sitting in prison for RICOs and murders and gang ties and everything else like that is insane.
Yeah, you got to find people who match your dream. And,
right.
and when you ask me that, when you ask me, like, how many people, you came up with are still with you, it's because, they couldn't see my dream. And nobody's supposed to see your dream, and nobody's supposed to believe in your dream but you. Like, if you meet people who actually believe in your dream and believe in your vision, like, those are the people that you should, keep close. But as you grow and as you evolve, you got to constantly find people who match your dream. And man, the crazy part is there might be people that you met 20 years ago, right, who at the time they matched the dream you had. Meaning, like, you might have saw yourself in a certain position and they might have been right for that moment, right? But then once you got into that position, you started to see other things. So your dream changes. A lot of times those people that you brought with you to a certain point, they don't see your dreams changing. They don't see the level that you're thinking at now, because they're still, where they were, and they got with you to a certain point, but now they like, man, I can't even believe this dude want to do this. It's almost like when you say I was running for office, and it was like, okay, I was a councilman, right? And then I became mayor. And they're like, oh, man, he was a councilman and he became a mayor. That's cool. But then what happens if I become governor? You're like, whoa. I didn't know you was going to be governor. And what happens if I decide to run for president and become president? But this person still sees you as just the councilman. You know what I mean? He can't believe how big this dream got for you. Some of those people, man, you don't even got to cut them off. They're gonna fade away on their own. They're gonna fall off on their own. It's like if you stop sending blood to one of your limbs, eventually that limb will just fall off. It's the same thing. When people can't match your dream and they don't see where you're going, they'll fade away because they just don't fit into that equation anymore.
Since our last interview, Kanye had the meltdown and essentially lost everything. You said something interesting. You said that you'll suck a dick if things work out between Kanye and Adidas.
I gotta stop saying that.
You have to stop saying that.
I gotta stop saying that.
Yeah. And did you say something like that about Tekashi at one point?
Yeah, because it's like, here's the thing. When I say things like that, I'm saying it because I know it's a sure bet. Like I first of all, I would never cash in on the bet, number one. Contrary to people's popular belief, that's never a bet that I would uphold. All right? That's straight ass betting. Or in that case, mouth betting. But it would never happen. That's number one. All right? But number two, it's like I say that as an extreme because these are things that I know just aren't going to be. When I said that about 6ix9ine, it's because I'm like, there's no way he's beating this case, which he didn't. That's like, people think he beat the case. He did not beat the case. Like, he did not.
Yeah.
He
pled guilty.
Yes.
Which means that he was found guilty.
Yes.
He lost.
Yes. Period. And same thing with Kanye. And listen, man, stranger things have happened, but I don't see that. I don't see Adidas ever doing business with Kanye ever again. Because the amount of
atonement Kanye would have to do. Sometimes people just go too far, man. And when you got the ADL and other Jewish organizations saying how he caused anti-Semitic hate crimes to go up, when people can look and say, this person got attacked because of Kanye, that's too far. Like that, like what could, I don't even know what you could do to fix that.
Well, you and I have spoken about this before. I guess during private conversations with Kanye, he would tell you that he loves him.
Charlamagne bluntly stated that no one cares about Kanye's music anymore. He pointed out that Kanye's attempts to involve himself in rap feuds, like those between Kendrick Lamar and Drake, were met with indifference. Charlamagne criticized Kanye's erratic behavior and controversial statements, which have tarnished his reputation. It seems Charlamagne believes Kanye's time in the spotlight has faded and his antics no longer capture the attention they once did.
This is years before all this had happened, right?
No, I heard him, and recently, our guy Van Lathan, Van spoke about this. I remember during that whole TMZ debacle, when he said the thing about slavery was a choice or whatever it was, during that, I heard during that time, he was spewing, anti-Semitic rhetoric, and he was saying how he, loved Hitler.
Oh, yeah, no, I interviewed Van. We talked about this. He actually said that one of the Jewish employees at TMZ basically told Kanye, like, yo, like this really hurts him and bothers him. And ultimately, all that was cut out of that TMZ interview. Although slavery was a choice got left in there.
Okay, so when he said the whole I love Hitler or Nazi thing, what did the producer say?
Said I'm Jewish and that offends me.
And what did Kanye say?
Nothing.
Huh.
He said I'm Jewish and that offends me. He's like, I'm stood up, like, right, I'm Jewish. What you just said is offensive to me. Didn't say anything. He then goes on, like after that, a little while after that, he goes, does it feel like I'm speaking freely? And then that's when I say it doesn't feel like you're speaking, you're thinking anything. Yeah.
But yeah, Kanye had been saying this for years and years. I think he's getting sued by a former Yeezy employee where he would talk about this in meetings and everything else like that.
And it's not even just that, man. Like, when you say things like, slavery was a choice, and when you discredit people like Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, and Martin Luther King Jr. It's like, who are you, bro? Like you can't be anti-black and anti-Semitic. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't be both. And then turns around and speaks so pro-black, and I'm trying to liberate black people, and it's like, are you really? Or are you doing what you always do, which is offending one group, and then you actually offended two groups because you wore the White Lives Matter shirts, at that fashion show, right? Mm-hmm. So you're shitting on the Black Lives Matter movement. You do that, you do the anti-Semitic stuff, and then when you get backlash, you do what you always do, which is start saying things that black people want to hear, And then when you start saying things that black people want to hear, black people are so loving and so forgiving, that, they're going to have your back. Right? But the reason I don't like stuff like that is because, don't lead my people into an unjust war. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I don't like. Like, don't lead them into an unjust war, and don't say you're doing it because you're trying to liberate black people. No, you're trying to liberate Kanye. Kanye West cares about Kanye West. That is, always remember, Kanye's number one priority will always be Kanye.
Well, did Kanye call you on the phone and scream at you about Pete Davidson's penis?
That is an absolute fact. That is 100% fact. And the reason I'll never forget that is because I was sitting in front of the passport office, getting my youngest daughter a passport because she had just been born, and we were going out of the country. This is 2020? Was it 20 or 2021? I think it was 2021. I don't remember. 2020, 2021. I think it was 2021. And so I remember getting the phone call that Kanye wanted to talk to me, and I'm like, I Like, I already know that's that's an exhausting phone call. I don't feel like talking to Kanye. I don't want to talk to Kanye. And you know, the person who was calling me, you know, that it was their job. They were tasked with getting me and Kanye connected. So me and this person are cool. I already know what situation that person is in. I'm sitting in front of the passport's office waiting. I ain't got nothing but some time to kill. I'm like, all right, man, reach out. And so when he reached out, like that was the whole conversation was, you know, getting me to be on his side to go against somebody who's actually my friend. Pete Davidson is actually my friend. I've known Pete since he was 16 years old. Like Pete started with us at Guy Code when we were doing the MTV2 show Guy Code. Like Pete used to follow me and Duval around. Like we finished taping, go out to eat, he'd be with us. Like I know his mom. You know what I'm saying? Like I've gone to his house and kicked it. He's been to my house and kicked it. Like I know his family, he knows my family. Like that's an actual friend and somebody who I literally watched grow up. Like I know him since he was 16, 17 years old. Like he's 27, 28, and 26, 27 now. You know what I mean? I think, or 28, I don't even know, but I've known him since he was a kid. So it's like, that's my actual friend, somebody I have a relationship with. Me and Kanye are industry associates. So you're calling me to try to get me to side with you against my friend because you're upset this man is dating your ex-wife? Like, you like, come on. And like, I said that to him. I'm like, bro, you know that's my guy. You calling me, you know, trying to get me on Team Ye, saying you want to save the new Marilyn Monroe. We got to save the new Marilyn Monroe.
Yo, that's what he was saying about Kim?
Yeah, that's you know how Marilyn Monroe died, right? Which I did not know, and I don't even know if this is true. But Marilyn Monroe died, you know, because of drugs. And, you know, Pete has drug problems. And, we gotta save the new Marilyn Monroe from being addicted to drugs and, you know, dying.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this. Make sure to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if there's a topic you'd like us to cover next, we'd love to hear from you. See you in the next video.